All right, picture this. We all have that one friend, right? By day, they are the absolute picture of professionalism, polite, reserved, maybe even a little bit shy. They're the proper friend. But at night, in the safety of the group chat, oh man, they are completely hilariously unhinged. Suddenly, they're the one dropping the most provocative jokes and just leading the banter. It's a massive contrast, and honestly, it's a super relatable phenomenon. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack exactly what's happening here. We're taking a deep, entirely non-judgmental look at the psychology behind why so many people live this wild, dual conversational life. To get to the bottom of this, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with serious by day, crazy by night. Then move into the secret expression of desire, followed by social skill to test boundaries, safety and rebound psychology, and finally, boundary between joke and harassment. Section 1, serious by day, crazy by night. So this is the absolute foundation of what we're looking at. That serious daytime persona versus the chaotic nighttime energy. You know the type, the colleague who sends these pristine, perfectly punctuated emails all day long, but then after 10 p.m., they communicate entirely in unhinged memes in the group chat. When we see this in our friends, or let's be real, in ourselves, our first thought is usually, wait, are they faking it during the day? Is this some kind of split personality? Well, psychology actually tells us no, it's neither. It's not about being fake at all. It's about a necessary state switch. See, people who are highly disciplined, rule-abiding, and super conscious of their public image, they are naturally suppressing a lot of emotions. So when they finally drop into a private, familiar setting, throwing around provocative language or dirty talk acts as this massive emotional release. It's an outlet. They aren't two different people. They're just switching modes based on where they are. Section 2, the secret expression of desire. This flows perfectly into our next point because we really need to rethink the assumptions we make about quiet people. The absolute key takeaway here is that looking honest or proper absolutely does not mean someone is without desires. There's this incredibly common misconception out there, right? That if someone looks serious and completely put together, their mind must be 100% pure, totally devoid of adult thoughts. But research shows that, hey, most adults have sexual fantasies, curiosities, and a totally normal desire for flirtatious banter. The difference isn't whether or not they have these thoughts, it's just about how they choose to express them. Which brings us to two vastly different styles of communication. On one hand, you've got the outwardly expressive person, the one who's always running their mouth, cracking jokes 24/7. You expect it from them, right? It's just their baseline. But on the other hand, you have the inwardly reserved person. They're usually quiet, but once they get super comfortable with you, bam, they suddenly become incredibly skilled at provocative banter. Because you absolutely don't expect it from them, it creates this huge contrast shock. It's literally like a jump scare, honestly. And that shock factor is exactly why we notice it so much more when the quiet friend finally speaks up in the chat. Section 3, social skill to test boundaries. Now, you might be thinking this is all just about blowing off steam, but actually, there is a way deeper social mechanism at play here. Provocative talk isn't always literal, and it's definitely not just being vulgar for the sake of it. A lot of the time, it's a highly strategic social tool. People use it for flirting, for hyping up the atmosphere, for closing that interpersonal distance, and yeah, for testing boundaries. Think about it. Especially in intimate circles or those ambiguous early romantic phases, throwing in a little boundary-pushing banter, it creates emotional tension. It just makes the whole interaction so much more dynamic. This actually explains a really fascinating paradox. The people who are the most cautious in public often become the absolute boldest when they're comfortable, because they're actively using that contrast to pull you closer. Section 4, safety and rebound psychology. So what exactly makes these normally cautious folks feel comfortable enough to just let loose? Well, it requires a perfect storm, basically 4 environmental triggers to unseal their true persona. Step 1, it's late at night. You know, a time when our daytime filters naturally just sort of shut down. Step 2, it's online, which gives them a physical buffer and a nice little cloak of anonymity. Step 3, the relationship is already close and intimate. And step 4, and this is arguably the most critical one, there is absolutely no fear of mockery. People who are perfectly behaved in the real world are often completely terrified of being judged, so their ability to joke around relies entirely on knowing they are safe from social death. If you hit all 4 of those steps, the seal is broken. And when that seal breaks, we get what psychologists call compensation psychology, or the rebound effect. Honestly, this is the real aha moment of our explainer. When someone represses their humor, their true self, or their emotions for a long time just to keep up a good image, they experience this incredibly powerful psychological rebound. It's like their brain is slingshotting from extreme repression straight to extreme expression. The second they feel safe to express themselves, they overcompensate. This is exactly why the most well-behaved people literally can't hit the brakes once they start joking around. The contrast itself, the actual thrill of crossing that boundary, is a massive stimulus. They aren't just making a joke, they're actively making up for lost time.
Section 5. Boundary between joke and harassment.
All right, we absolutely have to ground this discussion in reality for a second, because we need to draw a very stark line. There is a huge difference between a cute contrast, a harmless joke in a safe, consensual space among friends, and what happens when the rules get thrown out the window. When boundaries are ignored, it quickly crosses into harassment. If someone is dropping provocative comments without actually reading the room, making others visibly uncomfortable, or forcing sexual innuendos where they just do not belong, well, that's not a cute quirk anymore. That's inappropriate boundary crossing. The research is crystal clear on this. Playing around with edgy humor with consenting friends doesn't mean you have a bad character, but ignoring the comfort of the people around you, that absolutely does. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It all boils down to emotional intelligence. Think of it as a mental checklist. True maturity isn't about completely suppressing your humor or burying your desires. Nobody expects you to be a robot. True maturity is all about context. It's knowing exactly who to tell the joke to, recognizing when the timing is right, and most importantly, knowing how far to push before you need to pull back. Healthy expression is simply about reading the room and respecting the people in it. We've covered a lot today. We unpacked the state switches, the hidden desires, those sneaky social strategies, and the intense rebound effects that turn our absolute quietest friends into group chat legends. But again, it all hinges on that final point about maturity and context, which leaves us with one last, really crucial thought for you to reflect on as you think about your own communication habits. Do you know where your boundaries lie?